You know, in Switzerland, when you leave a job, you don't just get a simple letter. You get something that's way more important. I like to think of it as your career passport. It can literally open doors to your next amazing opportunity. Or it can slam them shut without you even knowing why. So let's break down exactly what this thing is and how you can make sure it's working for you.
So the big question is this. Is your certificate a powerful tool that's pushing you forward? Or could it be, quietly sabotaging your entire job search? The stakes are really, really high, because understanding what your certificate says, and maybe more importantly, what it doesn't say, is absolutely essential.
All right, so to really get a handle on its power, we got to look under the hood. Let's break down the anatomy of a Swiss work certificate so you know exactly what each part means and why it's there. First off, there are two main types. Over on the left, you've got the simple attestation. Think of this as the bare bones version. It just confirms your job title and how long you were there. You might need it for, say, a housing application, or maybe if you only worked somewhere for a super short time. But on the right, that's the full certificate. And honestly, this is the one that really, truly matters for your career. It goes way deeper, getting into your performance and your conduct.
So, these are the non-negotiables, the mandatory building blocks of a full certificate. It's not just a list of your tasks and dates. The parts that every single recruiter will zoom in on are the evaluations of your performance and your behavior. Every single one of these components is required by law, and if one is missing, well, that's a huge red flag right there.
Okay, so knowing the structure is one thing, but what about your power in all this? A lot of people feel pretty helpless when they get their certificate, but you know what? Swiss law actually gives you a surprising amount of control. Let's dig into the rights you have.
This is so important to remember. You can ask for an interim certificate anytime you want, say if your boss changes. And your final certificate? That's not some optional parting gift. It's a legal requirement. They have to give it to you by your last day. Now here's the crucial part. The law says it has to be both truthful and benevolent, meaning it should help your future career. It has to be framed constructively, and it has to cover your entire time there, not just, a rocky last couple of months. Oh, and trying to fake one? Yeah, that's a serious crime.
And get this, here's a right that blows a lot of people's minds. Your old employer is legally required to keep your records and be able to issue you a new certificate for up to 10 years after you leave. So if you lose it or you need a new copy, you've got a whole decade of backup. Pretty cool, huh?
Okay, now we're getting to the real heart of it. The true story of a work certificate isn't just in the facts, it's in the subtle, tricky art of its phrasing. It's like a language all its own, and right now, we're going to decode it together.
First, let's just bust a myth right now. There are no secret hidden codes designed to mess with you. It's not like that. Instead, it's all about the intensity of the language. The difference between a glowing certificate and a terrible one often just comes down to whether or not certain superlatives and very specific words are used.
Okay, take this phrase. To most of us, he gave us satisfaction sounds, well, it sounds fine, right? A little formal maybe, but positive. Well, in the special world of Swiss work certificates, this phrase is actually a pretty big red flag. It's lukewarm, and lukewarm is not what you want.
This is basically the cheat sheet. This is the satisfaction scale, and you've got to understand it. Right at the top, pleine et entière satisfaction means you are an excellent employee, a rock star. Entière satisfaction is still really good. But that phrase we just saw, nous a donné satisfaction, that's firmly in the mediocre category. And what if there's no satisfaction phrase at all? That is the biggest warning sign of them all. It's a clear hierarchy, and you've got to be aiming for the top.
And that leads perfectly to the power of omission. Sometimes what isn't said is the most important thing. Just imagine a certificate for a manager that lists all their tasks but says absolutely nothing about their leadership skills. A recruiter is going to look at that and immediately think, okay, what are they hiding here? The silence can be deafening.
So what do you do if you get a certificate and you realize, uh-oh, the language is weak, or hey, they left out my biggest achievements? First, don't panic. There's a clear, structured way to contest it. Let's walk through that action plan right now.
Okay, the process is pretty straightforward. You always start with a direct professional chat with your manager and HR. If that doesn't get you anywhere, you move to step 2. But don't just complain. Submit a written counterproposal with the exact wording you think is fair. If you're still stuck, it's time to get some legal advice. And if all else fails, the case can go to a tribunal. And it's worth knowing they very often rule in the employee's favor. So this is the key takeaway, the most crucial point. You can't just go in there and say, I don't like this. That's not going to work. The responsibility is on you to be constructive. You have to provide alternative phrasing and be ready to explain why your version is a better reflection of your work. Being proactive is your single most powerful tool here.
So now you have the tools to understand this document, to decode its language, and to handle any disputes. It's time to put it all together. The final, most important step is to really take control of your own career story.
Let's circle all the way back to where we started. Your work certificate is your passport. A bad photo or a wrong date on your real passport can cause huge problems. Well, it's the same thing here. A poorly worded certificate can stop your career journey dead in its tracks. You can't just leave that message to chance.
Look, figuring all this out can be really challenging, especially when there's so much on the line. If you're in a tough spot, or you just want an expert to take a look at your certificate, getting professional help can make all the difference. For that kind of expert guidance, you can check out swisscareer.coach. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Go find your last work certificate right now. Take a look at it. Now that you know the rules and the secret language, what story is it really telling your next potential boss? And more importantly, is it the story you want them to hear?